Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today we're going to be talking about winning in marriage through serving your spouse. Perhaps the title of this message might be a bit prickly to some people. They might ask questions like, am I supposed to be a servant to my spouse? Just listen to me and you'll be able to find out how you will be able to serve your spouse. I know as a husband, you are aware that you're supposed to be the head of the wife, just as Christ is the head of the church. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 23. So, how can the husband then be expected to serve his wife? Shouldn't it be the other way around? After all, it is common practice in most countries or in most cultures for the leaders to be served and have people at their beck and call. But this is not the case in kingdom marriages. Paul asked the husbands, inspired by God, of course. So Paul was inspired to admonish the husbands to love their wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself for her. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 25. Christ's headship saw him hanging on the cross to salvage his bride, the church. He also declared that he did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. Mark 10:45. If husbands are to emulate Christ as the head of the wives, they must serve their wives. Serving your wife means prioritizing her and attending to her needs above yours. And also, serving your husband means prioritizing your husband and having his needs or attending to his needs above yours. Serving your spouse doesn't diminish or your status as the husband or as the head of the wife or as the head of the family. On the contrary, it actually elevates you. Jesus told his disciples, whoever desired to be great among you should be a servant. Mark 10:43. The biblical way of being lifted is from the way down or by crawling. So let's be honest. I know it feels nice to be served and to be waited upon. We fancy having our spouses bend over backwards to meet our needs. And while it is okay to expect that our spouses meet our needs or serve us, scripture shows that there's a more excellent way of winning in marriage by serving your spouse. Yet it shall not be so among you, but whoever desires to become great among you, let him be your servant. And whoever desires to be first among you, let him be your slave or servant. In other translations, it says servant should be your slave or servant, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. Matthew 20:26-28. In our quest to find fulfillment in our marriages, God gives us a secret tool: serving our spouses. Serving our spouses has nothing to do with being subjugated or less human. It means attending to someone's needs above your own. As spouses, the best way to serve each other is by meeting each other's needs. It is not by you abandoning your needs, but by you putting your spouse's needs first above your own. It means you abandoning your selfish ways. That is why marriage is not for selfish people. If you are a selfish person, you're not going to succeed in marriage because your selfishness is going to keep sabotaging your marriage, is going to keep sabotaging the hard work that you think you're putting into your marriage. So marriage is for selfish people. It's for people who are ready to let down their ego and serve their spouses. So as spouses, the best way of serving each other, the best way of understanding how to serve your spouse is by asking them. So it is not by you serving them how you would want to be served. It is by you serving them the way they would love to be served. So before rolling up your sleeves to help your wife or your husband, know what floats their boat first. Because you can be knocking yourself down or thinking you're actually pleasing them, but all the while you're just busy irritating them. So the key to serving your spouse is to understand their unique needs, which may be actually different from yours, because we are all created differently, we are wired differently, we have different needs. Even if you think you are a twin to somebody, you're still wired differently. You have different needs from your twin. So you might not fully comprehend why they value certain things, but that's where empathy comes in. Understand why they value some certain things and they don't value other things. Understand why they have this kind of hobby, but they dislike some other things. You might not have the same hobby with your husband, no matter how much you love each other. You might not never like the same thing. You might never like the same kind of food or the same kind of event, no matter how much you love each other. So that is where empathy comes in. You have to empathize with them for whatever reason they love whatever it is they love. So serving them might require you to step out of your comfort zone, but it is a small sacrifice for the greater good of your marriage. As Apostle Paul advised the church, let us esteem others above ourselves. Let nothing be done through selfish ambition or conceit, but in lowliness of mind, let each esteem others better than themselves. Let each of you look not only for his own interest, but also for the interest of others. Philippians 2:3-4. By serving your spouse, you obey God's command to prioritize his interest over yours and sow seeds of goodness into your marriage. This selfless service will yield a bountiful harvest of a solid and loving marriage. So here are some practical ways you can serve your spouse. 1. Compliment and admire your spouse. Compliment and admire your spouse. There's a quote here by Willard Hurley. He said, "Behind every man should be an admiring wife." And I beg to say, behind every woman should be an admiring husband. Most men and women crave admiration, but not just from anyone, from their husbands and from their wives. They garner accolades right, left, and center. But if they don't get a pat on the back from their spouses, they will still not feel worthy enough in most cases. Your husband or wife needs you to be his or her number one fan. They need to know that you are proud of them, that you are proud of their achievements. Give them their genuine admiration. Giving them genuine admiration will back up their self-confidence and self-esteem. It will also motivate them to achieve more. Even if dishing compliment might not be your cup of tea, you need to actually serve your spouses that way. Remember, serving your spouse is not about your own needs, but prioritizing their needs above yours. Praise your spouse publicly and privately. In front of the kids, brag about them while they are with friends or while you are with your friends. Let people know that you admire your spouse, you are proud of what they are doing, you are proud of their achievements. Never belittle each other. The second one is provide a peaceful home for each other. Keeping a peaceful home is actually everybody's responsibility. No woman or man can make a home that a man or woman has vowed to destroy. So women are not the only people that are meant to be homemakers. Men too should be homemakers. We're all homemakers. Because marriage is a teamwork. It is not an individual's responsibility. It is not just meant to work because the woman is going to put in the work. Both men and women are admonished and advised to be teammates, to be helpmates, to work towards making the marriage work, to provide a peaceful home for each other. Everyone should fancy retreating to a peaceful and organized home after a day's job or after a tiring day at work. Everyone would love to come to a clean home, play with the kids, eat dinner, and enjoy time with the family. So depending on your parenting stage or parenting journey, most of these aspirations might be a mirage, I know. When the kids are young, and I think it's nearly impossible to maintain a squeaky clean home, because you have to allow your children to play. But in as much as you want to allow them to play, there is how much dirt or clumsiness you should allow in your house. Just because you want to allow your children to enjoy themselves and play does not mean the house should be like almost like a refuse dump. So try and keep the house tidy for each other, to be able to maintain a peaceful home where when you come back from a tiring day, the chaos and all the dirt in the house won't hamper your peace. If both of you hold a full-time job, expecting the wife or the husband to provide a clean and organized home single-handedly is actually impractical. So house chores have to be shared between both of you. If possible, in most cases, if you don't have like a house help or a support, both of you will have to share the housework. You can't say that, okay, both of you are working 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 or 7 to 3, and then you expect that your husband should be the one to tidy up the house, cook, clean, and do all sort of things when he comes back from work without you lifting a pin. Or the other way around, when you think your wife comes back from work, both of you come back from work at the same time, but then you say you're tired. Does that mean your wife is not tired? And then you sit and expect her to cook, clean, and tidy up. In most cases, this is unfortunate, and it is not fair on the wife or on the husband. So if possible, you should share the chores among yourselves so to be able to help each other and alleviate the stress. But if you can afford to hire a maid, why not? Hire somebody to help you tidy the house, and you can have a good time together instead of stressing about cleaning and cooking and all of that. So above all, you should give each other peace of mind. Don't nag each other. I know it's sometimes a bit hard not to nag or not to keep talking about the same thing over and over again. But if we can, we should provide a peaceful home for one another. We should make the house like a heaven for one another, that you're always like happy to come back home. You're always happy to say, I have a house, I have somewhere to come back after a tiring day at work, after all the stress at work. I know when I come back home, I will be able to have a peace of mind. Let your house be somewhere you're always running to come back to. Like you're happy to come back home, not like you're dreading coming back home. You don't even want to come back. You want to wait till your husband or your wife is sleeping before you come home. Let's create a peaceful environment for one another. Creating a peaceful home for each other is another way of serving each other, actually. It is another way of serving your spouse. So the third point is support each other's hobbies and interests. Support each other's hobbies and interests. Most people take their hobbies and recreational activities very seriously. It helps them to socialize with their peers, ignites their creativity, and gives them immense fulfillment. It could be hiking, fishing, hunting, sports, golfing, bowling, walking, reading, shopping, going to the gym, watching movies, etc. Most people can actually plan meticulously for these activities and don't mind spending an arm and leg or even breaking the bank for their hobbies. But guess what? That's not enough. They crave recreation. Sometimes some people or some spouses, some husbands or some wives crave recreational companionship from their spouses. They want you to be there alongside them as they experience the adrenaline and the thrill from these activities. Most times, depending on the kind of person you're married to, Some of them don't mind you coming to watch them when they do their golfing or some of the things that they want to do. Some would not mind you coming shopping with them or watching movies with them or watching football or rugby with them, depending on their kind of activities or hobbies. So does that surprise you? Wasn't spending time together with your staff, with your spouse, and doing stuff together or having fun why you guys came together, or that wasn't that how you guys used to catch fun together before you got married? Or wasn't having fun together why you ended up getting married to each other in the first place? Your companionship should not melt into thin air just after getting married. You should keep on the fire of companionship. Have time together where you can just sit down, watch movies, just enjoy each other's company, maybe go for a walk, or just sit down and have a good laugh together. Just enjoy each other's company. Most times we do these things before we get married, and by the time we get married, we forget about all of these things, and then we get encumbered by all sorts of things that sometimes do not really matter, and those things sometimes they put a serious strain on our marriages. So serving each other is by showing interest and participating in each other's hobbies in most cases. Meeting your spouse's emotional needs will actually grow your relationship and make your spouse feel appreciated. And also, it allows you to be with each other at the best moments of your life. When you are having those good times, it actually creates fun memories. You're creating memories together. Because by the time you're old and you won't be able to do some of these activities, by the time you just sit down and reminisce on all the good times you have, it creates good memories. And actually, like it's like creating good hormones even in your lives. So this bonding experience helps to strengthen your relationship. It keeps the fire of your relationship burning. Because when there are no activities that you guys do together, sometimes it actually makes marriage boring. You don't have to do what another couple is doing. You can actually find what works for you. It might be walking, just walking down the street. It might be just sitting down and laughing and talking. It might be maybe watching a movie or laughing at stories on social media. Maybe that's what works for you. Just find what works for you, but no matter what, support each other's interests and hobbies. And there is nothing wrong in your wife or your husband having a different interest or hobby from you. You guys were not born together, so there is no way you will have the same interest with your spouse. So just support each other's interest if you can, or if you can have those interests or hobbies together, go ahead and do them, just to create more memories and also to ignite, to keep the fire of your love alive, and also to just keep friendship alive. So the second one, the fourth point, is initiate sex. So actually, for this point, it doesn't matter who initiates sex. It doesn't. It doesn't have to be the man who initiates sex every day. It doesn't matter. This person is your husband. I'm talking to husbands here and wives. If you're not married, I don't have anything for you at the moment when it comes to this one. If this man is your husband, it doesn't matter. If she's your wife, it doesn't matter who initiates sex. And you initiating sex as a woman does not make you a, like somebody said, a woman is not supposed to initiate sex. That it is not good for a woman to initiate sex. That the man is going to think she is maybe wayward. I beg to differ. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change the fact that uh, you are married to this person, so there is nothing wrong in you initiating sex. It is a well-known fact that sex is a big deal to men, actually. So to many men, love is equivalent to sex because it enables them to form deep emotional connections with their wives. And some women too, sex is a big deal to them. It actually allows them to form deep emotional connection with their husbands. It is during sex that most couples feel most vulnerable attached to each other and even attracted to each other. Sex is also closely tied to some people's identity because it helps them boost their ego. When a wife denies her husband sex, or even when a husband denies his wife sex, she or he feels rejected and views it as an attack on their person. Because you would wonder, why is this person denying me sex without any reason? Because even the Bible has admonished us that we shouldn't deny each other sex unless if there is a reason. But then after whatever reason you have, you should come back together so that you will not be tempted by the enemy. So we shouldn't allow the enemy to have a foothold in our marriages because of sex. So in a healthy marriage, actually, both spouses should be committed to meeting each other's sexual needs. So you are committed to meeting your husband's sexual need, and you are committed to meeting your wife's sexual need. So if your husband or your wife is not making any, initiating anything, maybe since you've gotten married to this person, the person has never initiated sex and is not even interested in it, you should see a sex therapist. You should talk. You should ask this person what the problem is. Get to know what the problem is. And then find help and a solution to your marriage. And make sure you enjoy sex. Sex is meant to be enjoyed, not endured. If you are not enjoying it, talk to your husband or talk to your wife. Find a solution. There's always a solution to every problem. There is always a way out. Don't die in silence. Enjoy it. But if you are not, find a solution to your problem. Seek help. But what's more, your husband would be more thrilled, or your wife will be more thrilled that you initiate sex. The good thing about it is whoever feels like wanting sex, you initiate it. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter if you're the one initiating it every day. But at least both of you should initiate sex. It's not the duty of the man alone to initiate sex or to be romantic, or the woman should be the one to be romantic. Both of you are meant to be romantic. Like I said, marriage is teamwork. It is not a matter of one person doing it. The load should be equal. It shouldn't be one person carrying more and then the other person is not even carrying anything. The other person is not willing to carry it. Both of you should work together. Sex is actually a cherry on the top in your marriage, if I would say that. So serving each other through initiating sex will make your relationship stronger. It will actually boost your ego. It will create good hormones also. And also it will make you feel needed and validated, both the wife and the husband. So the fifth one is be a suitable helper. So this one is kind of like mostly for the women. Be for the wives, I mean, not for the women, because the wives are the helpers, not just any woman. Not every woman is a wife anyway, and not every man is a husband. So be a suitable helper. So the Lord said, it is not good for the man to be alone. I will make him a helper suitable for him. Genesis 2:18. So God designed you, wife, as your husband's helper. So one way to serve your husband is to do that. Be a helper. The original Hebrew word translated to mean suitable helper is Ezer. E-Z-E-R. The same word is used several times in the Bible while referring to God as a helper to man. Ezer refers to the ability to save, protect, and to rescue. So this means that your role as a wife is by no means inferior, but a powerful one. If you call somebody your helper, what does that person mean? It means that person is actually strong. A weak person cannot be referred to as a helper. So you as a woman, don't underestimate your power. Don't underestimate what you can do. You are not weak. For you to be somebody's helper, it means you're actually stronger than that person. So when the Bible said you are the weaker vessel, so it means there's somebody who is weak before somebody is weaker. So it's weak are weakest, right? So do not underestimate your power, women or wives. Do not underestimate your power. You are very strong for God to actually ask you to help somebody. Do not underestimate yourself and do not allow anybody to look down on you. You are not just ordinary for you to be a helper to somebody. So seek to know from your husband how you can make life easier for him by helping him. Know how to help him based on your own ability. Do what you can. So what does a helper do? Help. A helper is called to help. As a helper, what you're meant to do is to help. You are not to be the burden bearer, but the helper of the man, of your husband. You are not to be the burden bearer. Help him to achieve his goals and cheer him on as he does his work. Pray for him and encourage him. And also, I think the best way for you to be able to know how to help your husband or to help your wife even is to understand each other's love languages. So like I said, before you go around or go ahead and start helping your spouse, know what exactly they want help with. Know what works for them. Know how to serve them. Ask your spouse, how can I serve you? Or how can I help you? And then go ahead and help them to the best of your ability. Know what works for them and serve them based on how they would want to be helped, not how you would want to be helped. Speak their own love language, not your own love language. So your spouse's love language might be acts of service, and your love language might be gifts. And then you can just go ahead and keep giving them gifts, and your spouse is still not happy and not forthcoming. And then you wonder if this person is an ungrateful person. But the problem here is you're not speaking their love language. Ask them what their love language is, and then go ahead and serve them. So the sixth one now is for the men, for the husbands. Lead the family. Another way of serving your wife is by taking up your role as the leader of your family. So the leader here is not because you are more superior to your wife. God did not put an inferior spirit in the woman, and he did not put a superior spirit in the man. We are all equal before God. Just like a nation. In a nation, we have the president and we have the vice president. In most cases, the president is not the most intelligent and he is not the smartest, but he is the one who has been saddled with the responsibility of leading his family. So the same way, you can think of the scenario as the same or analogy to the family. The husband is the head of the family because he has been saddled with the responsibility of creating an enabling environment for everybody's potential to thrive. So your duty is to lead the same way a president or a prime minister, depending on your country, or the same way a prime minister would lead the country. That is how you should lead your family. You are meant to be the leader. Your wife is like your vice president in this case. So you're meant to lead and guide lovingly. Unfortunately, many men neglect their leadership in their homes and relegates their leadership position to their wives. And that is why in most cases some men would say you're always wanting to lead, you're always trying to be the head and all of that. Sometimes it is because some men are not forthcoming, or maybe they're a bit too passive or complacent, or in most cases like have this I don't care attitude, like they are just letting things slide, like whatever will be will be. But then the wife is seeing this happening, and sometimes you feel like she wants to usurp your authority and she's just carrying on the responsibility in the family. And maybe she's doing that because you have abdicated your duty. You're not forthcoming. So only if you will just lead. If you have no idea how to lead, ask the originator of marriage. God is the originator of marriage. He knows how you are supposed to lead. He knows what is best for your family. He knows the framework that will work for your family. But the call here is for you to lead as the man. And you're not supposed to lead harshly. You're supposed to lead lovingly. When you lead lovingly, it doesn't stop you from being the man. It doesn't change your position as the man. You are still the man. Nobody is debating with you. Nobody is going to take that role from you. You are the husband. You are the leader. Nobody is denying that. Nobody is disputing that. Nobody is debating with you. Just lead lovingly. Many men are actually busy raking in the dough and having no time for their families or their wives. And then they allow their wives to be the ones raising their children. Parenting is not a walk in the park, and it requires the input of both parents. But in a situation where you are a single mother, or maybe you are a widow or widower, it's okay. But in a situation where there's a husband and wife in the same home, or both of you are alive, you're supposed to parent together. It is easier and faster and better when you work together as teammates instead of competitors. It is better when you work together. Your wife may have taken up the leadership role at home many times because you are complacent and passive. But you bet she is not content in most cases. That is why she's trying to you think she's taking up the leadership position. And sometimes some men think, oh, she's already taking the leadership position, let her continue doing it. It's actually a burden that one woman or one person cannot carry. It is a burden that one person cannot carry. Even you as a man, you being the leader alone without a vice president or without a support is actually too much for you. So the wife is not just content being the leader alone at home or being the one carrying the burden of the family. She yearns for you to be the leader. Your wife might not tell you. She might keep carrying on and just doing what she is doing. But I tell you, she yearns for you to be the leader. Try being the leader for once in your family and see how your wife will actually love and appreciate you for that. And see how far your family will go and see how even your wife will thrive. According to a pediatric associate of Franklin, they said children look to their fathers to stipulate and enforce the rules. They view their fathers as an authority. They also look to their fathers to provide physical and emotional security. As a father, you have a huge role in passing on life skills and ensuring your kids' moral and intellectual development is sound. You both need to pray for your family, teach your children the word of God, model the right behavior, because children, you don't have to tell them what to do. They can just emulate what you're doing. Just keep doing what you're doing and your children will just start doing what you've been doing. They just see you and they copy. So both of you are supposed to model the right behavior for them to emulate. You're supposed to provide for the family, protect your family, and act as your kids' role models. In his book, His Needs, Her Needs, Willard Haley advises fathers to get involved in their children's lives before it is too late. He opines that attempting to connect with your children in their teens may be an exercise in futility. So do it now while they are still young. Fathers as well as mothers need to connect with their children when they are still young and impressionable. Willard suggests spending quality time with your children, playing games with them, riding bikes, walking, reading to them, attending church, cooking, among other activities with them. Find time to do all of these things. I know you're busy, but there's always time for the things you love and for the people you love. And if you love your family and you love your children, you always create time out of your busy schedule for them. So your wife will be overjoyed as she watches you lead the family. So why not serve her that way? That's another way of serving your wife, by leading the family. So also be gentle with one another. I know we live in times when everybody is busy and life is bombarding us with all sorts of things. But there is need for us to be gentle with one another, to always show empathy with one another. And also, we should make each other a priority. After, your spouse should be your priority. Take each other seriously. Let your spouse know that they are your priority and that spending time with them, complimenting them, giving them your undivided attention, and seeking each other's opinion before making a decision matters a lot. And also make the habit of checking up on each other when you're at work, depending on the kind of work you do as your work permits. Make it a habit when you're at work, not just stay at work for 8 hours without calling on your spouse to know how they are doing. Check up on them or send them a text to know how you're doing. You can just send them a text. How are you doing? How are the children, if she's at home with the children, or if he is at home with the kids, or just send them a message to say, I'm thinking about you. Stuff like that. Help each other at home or with life's demands. Run errands for each other. There is nothing wrong in you running errands for your wife. Alleviate the stress of one another. Marriage is good. Marriage is good. And we can make our marriages work. We can win in our marriages by serving our spouses. Thank you.